Hi, hello, and welcome to Quantum Healing Hands Tarot. Today we are going to look at the body and what it's been trying to tell us. More specifically, what it's trying to sound the alarms to. A lot of times we don't notice the aches and pains in our body are actually connected to something much deeper than just the pain. Usually it's connected to an emotional thing or something we're not dealing with. So I asked 3 different piles about the body and we got a bunch of answers. So if you already know which pile you want just by looking, there's timestamps down below. If you need a little help, let's go ahead and get started with the breathing. All right, we're going to start by taking 3 deep breaths. All right, so now that we're nice and relaxed, we can go ahead and look at the 3 piles we have. Pile 1, we have Snowflake Obsidian. Pile 2, we have this nice citrine. And pile 3, we have an unnamed blue stone that I am so apologetic for, but it is absolutely beautiful. It's gifted from my sister Kat. So if that helps deciding at all, usually I just kind of go for, usually encourage people to go for the one that you first look at, but that sometimes can be from like a distraction for me. So I'll close my eyes and I ask which pile to select, and my higher self will show me a number. It'll look as if I was like staring at a light and I closed my eyes and that image was still there. So that's what it looks like for me. That to me is kind of a foolproof way of making a selection. So go ahead and pick your pile. You can pause it if you need more time. The timestamps are down below and I'll meet you there. Hi, pile 1. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to bring you this message all about your body. So I don't know about you, but my body tells me when something's wrong, and it can be kind of hard to decipher sometimes what those messages are. So I thought we'd just go ahead and do a nice reading and letting our body tell us what's going on. So for starters, you chose the Snowflake Obsidian, which is a fantastic one to absorb negative energy. So if you're able to find anything like that, definitely pick something like that up. Regular obsidian works just as well. So the first question I asked up front was, what is your body sounding the alarm to? So instinctively, these cards tell me that it might be time to move on from a job that you're at. Like, I'm curious if you are sort of in a leader position, maybe not like an owner. It doesn't feel like that. Like with the suitcase here, it has a feeling much more of, you might be a shift leader at Starbucks or a manager at a company, something where you are in charge. But I think it's kind of time to move on. That's plain and simple, straightforward message right here, that you may be at a job where you have a lot of responsibility, and understandably that can be wearing you down. 6 of Swords means like making a hard decision to move on from something. Like, it's never an easy decision, But I think if you already are a leader, this should be pretty easy. Because it could be saying that too. Like, let's say you don't even have a job right now. What if that, like, you're like, oh, I don't work. I think this is saying it's time to take full action in moving forward beyond where you're at in life right now. So, so that's just the kind of upfront thing that your body's alarming you to, of that there's a need for a change coming up. All right, so the next card we have, I asked, what part of the body is the message coming through? So if you don't know, the Hermit actually is represented by Virgo. And if you don't know, Virgo rules the abdomen and digestive system. So you 1000% could be somebody who's having stomach problems. Like, you know, you could be super sensitive to what you eat, and that could really be affecting a lot. So it's kind of saying it's time to look at what's going on in your life. Like, when we have these stomach problems, like, our second brain is in our gut. I don't know. Some people actually say that's our first brain, but our gut is connected to so much of our intuition. So that, I think, is what's kind of going on, because if you're also having stomach problems, it could be hard to listen to your intuition. So this is definitely going to be where the problems are showing themselves. So if you're not moving forward and kind of taking that rite of passage to take control of your life, these stomach problems could definitely persist. So I asked, have you been listening to these signs? And up front, yes. Just plain, simple, you are listening to these signs. I have a feeling you are very involved with how you eat and what you put in your body. You are extremely conscious of. So just know that every time there is a problem and something's not quite going right, it's gonna manifest in your stomach. But you're listening to it. So I feel like when you aren't feeling good, you usually know exactly why. It's not a surprise. So won't go into too many specifics because everyone has a very, very different digestive tract, and everyone is is sensitive to different things. So the next question I asked is, where have you already made some improvements? Especially if you've already been listening to this. I definitely see that you have kind of surrendered to the universe's plan. I feel like you maybe used to be very controlling. The King of Wands is a very, very controlling card. So I think this is saying that you actually have kind of learned to let go, and that ease is going to relieve a lot of stomach problems, basically. And then I asked what you can do to help fix it. Because there's probably going to be days where you don't feel good, and this is going to be how to kind of work through that. So there's kind of a message here with Gabo that it's just really important not to be a people pleaser. Kind of when you aren't feeling your best, take take that time and rest, kind of readjust, figure out when you're not feeling well, figure out what you're doing that could be causing it. Like if you were in a job that's very toxic, that will be in your face every day. But if you actually aren't at a job, you are having this drive and this pull. It's like the stomach problems are like coming from a rope that's being pulled from the future. Like that's how I see it. They're literally like, come on. And so the feeling is coming from your stomach, and it could feel almost as if someone has a hold of your intestines. And I kind of see, oh my God, my stomach. And I'm basically seeing your future self kind of pulling you forward, like just really encouraging you to keep going, because what you put out is what you'll get back. And I really feel like you used to try and be very controlling because you wanted to know the outcome. But by relaxing, it's like a twofold thing. Like if you're walking up a flight of, 100 stories, it's a pretty big building. Let's go for 30 stories. But regardless of how tall it is, you could try and run up it really fast. And you're like, no, I'm going to get to the top immediately. And you're going to get burnt out real, real quick. Or you could, take a few flights at a time, rest, stretch, get some water, and keep going. Like, the most important thing here is just to keep going and to remain relaxed with the desired outcome, basically. There's a really big message here of just a need for harmony and peace at your job and with family. So there's a need for peace. And I think if you're in a job that is causing you constant stress, if you always have stomach problems, then it's time to maybe move on from that environment. And if you aren't in that environment, but it's just your home life, the universe will shake things up and make things uncomfortable to encourage you to move forward. If you were meant to move forward, the universe would not just sit back and be like, oh, no, stay comfy. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. My stomach keeps growling. Oh my God, is that because I'm doing a reading about the stomach? I have never had my stomach make this much noise before. Yeah, your stomach speaks to you quite clearly, and I'm really glad you listened to it. And basically, I think to me, this talks about a lot about natural order. So I'm just kind of keep eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and natural things that will help your stomach. And it doesn't only help your stomach, it helps your brain. And it helps your brain make clear decisions. Because you need that stuff to make the decisions of where you're going. If you have to intuitively know at which flight to stop at, you can't be running up the stairs. You'll miss the flight. So just keep going slow and steady. I'm so grateful that you know how to respond to the way your body speaks to you. And to me, the King of Wands, Six of Swords, this is just such a clear message of your future self really wants you to move forward and is pulling you. And I see that that manifests in your stomach. So you have accepted that life isn't something you can control, but I really think you've learned what you put out is what you'll get back. So I think this was a super clear message. I don't think there's much else to say. I'm really excited for you that that being represented by the Nine of Cups is fantastic. I feel like you actually probably have the stomach issues under control. So whenever you have them, don't just think it's just stomach problems. It's actually your gut trying to talk to you. Something needs to be adjusted. So if you're having current stomach problems, this is what's going on. It's time to grow. It's time to move. And I'm just really proud of you. So Pile 1, thank you so much for letting me channel your energy today and just being able to help you out. Stomach problems are no joke. So I am excited for you that you're moving on up and everything honestly looks so positive here for you. So thank you so much, Pile 1, for being here. If you like this video, I'd love for you to give it a little thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm doing my job right. And if you love it, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and be a part of... Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've never had this many stomach problems. So much stomach communication. So I would love for you to subscribe to be a part of my channel. Thank y'all for being here, and I hope you have a good day. Bye. Hi, Pile 2. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really honored to bring you this message about your body and why it's communicating with you the way it is. So if you don't know, sometimes when we're not feeling good emotionally, it will manifest physically. And then we get distracted with the physical part because that sometimes can take precedence over our mental state. So I wanted to know why, what's going on with everybody. So for starters, you chose one of my favorite stones. It kind of reminds me of a tooth or like a little like ancient droplet, like a Jurassic Park amber fossilized something, but I feel like this is one of the ones I've had the longest. So citrine is always a great one for confidence, and it rocks your solar chakra and solar plexus, and it will I really like this one when I'm just needing a little bit, like a drop of sunshine, basically. So the first question I asked was, what is your body sounding the alarm to? What's your body sounding the alarm to? So I love when the cards speak almost so clearly, because this is just saying, like, you're a very generous person. You give your time, you give your energy, and you are nothing but generous. Five of Wands reversed is kind of saying that you're trying to avoid conflict right now. And with the Four of Swords, rest and relaxation, I'm just seeing that you have been giving nothing but yourself and your time to other people. And it's time to just take a break. It is time to turn off the lights so nobody thinks you're home, lock the doors, maybe put an automatic response on your text messages so people don't think you're dead, but you don't have to worry about responding. Like, just get yourself set up to have a nice, relaxing time away from people where you can just recuperate. So your body is saying you are giving possibly too much of your time, and to maybe take a break from it and find a way to just avoid the crap for a while. What this could also be saying, though, on the flip side, it could be saying that you have been avoiding people too long. You have so much generosity and spirit to give, and it's actually time to maybe give it. Maybe you've been resting too long, and I think that is also what it could be saying. So it's one of the two. You'll know. You'll know. But I did ask bluntly what part of the body is the messages coming through? Interesting. So with the Hierophant and the World, what I'm kind of getting is that, because these both have Taurus influence, so I'm going to go ahead and say that your body manifests, your body is communicating these messages that you need a break through your throat, through your throat chakra. Basically, I feel like it's like maybe when your voice gets a little tired and exhausted, like you'll be able to hear it, like you'll actually kind of have a raspy voice, or you won't have as much energy. So, like energy to speak. So another way is you can literally just become very tired of talking to people. And so that's what I'm kind of seeing, that your body tries to tell you to take a rest when your voice kind of is tired of talking, when you just know you don't want to pick up the phone and call family and explain to them what's going on. Like maybe that's what that's saying, that you are just needing a break. Your generosity of time kind of needs to be taken back a little. So for the opposite, if all of a sudden you notice like you're talking louder, you're talking more excitedly, if you are having more vibrancy in your voice, I really feel like that's kind of a sign to start sending that energy out. And so you'll know the difference. If you are talking more and more excited, I think it's time for you to start being more generous with your energy and put to rest the resting stage. But if your voice is kind of becoming very soft and not easily speaking, maybe it's time to just tune out from the world. Maybe do some reading. I think reading's a really good way when your throat is kind of tired of talking, but it's more than just watching like TV. Like when you're reading, your brain is still processing words. So it's a good way to do that. Next, I asked, have you been listening to your body? And yes, you have. You have absolutely no problem. You hear it, which is really cool. Like you hear when you are talking and maybe you get very emotional, and you hear in your voice when you're going to like cry easily, or you can hear in your voice when you're irritated and you're like, I have no reason to be irritated at anybody right now, but I hear the way I'm talking to people. So you are very alert to this fact, and that's really cool. Like, we love a self-aware person. So I asked specifically, what have you already made improvements on? Yeah, so 2 of Acorns, you have no problem speaking up to people when you need that break. And that's fantastic. When you hear it in your voice that you are too emotional or too irritated and someone calls you up, you're like, you either know not to even answer the phone or you've learned to say no. You have a power in your decisions, and that's really cool. You definitely have a go-getter spirit, and I feel like when you hear it in your voice that you're excited and ready to live life, you go for it. You find those valleys to jump over, you find those mountains to climb. And because both of these talk about like adventure and moving forward, and that's really cool. That you know when people are asking too much of you or you're giving too much of yourself, that you've actually learned how to maybe go out on a road trip. Like, you know, when you need to get away, you get away. And that's really good. Yeah, and again, 10 of Shells reversed. This is just saying verbatim again, when people are trying to push their negative energies on you, you have no problem being like, whoa, I'm going to remove myself and go take myself on a vacation because you all seem to be way too stressed. So I'm excited to see what your card of what to do to fix it, because I'm really impressed here with you, that your body will still continue to alert you to times when you need rest and you need to stop giving so much of yourself. And then it'll do also the opposite of, it'll tell you when you're avoiding people too much, when you're not giving enough of your energy, and when you're like avoiding conflict. So your voice speaks to you. And also you may get like a sore throat, like you may be someone who has like tonsillitis regularly or something like that. Like that's if it gets really bad. And I feel like that is probably what taught you to pay attention to those things. And so you probably, Queen of Cups here, you've probably really mastered, and you have no problem when you aren't feeling well, you retreat. That's so cool. It's like spelled out so clearly right here. But I did ask, what can you do to help the problem and fix it? She is fierce. So this card really encourages more rest. So she represents hell, but not like the traditional Christian idea of hell. This is not like a place where people burn for eternity. Not at all. It's kind of a middle resting place after people die. And so this is just saying, like, if you I feel like you may have come across probably one of the hardest events in your entire life up until this point. This to me is just saying that the hardest time is now behind you. This to me is saying, don't let this event that obviously was very painful stop you from continuing on how strong you are. I feel like every other event that's taken place in the past, you have easily been kind of able to work through comparatively to what has happened recently. And this card is just saying, if you're walking to hell and back, make sure you got a good pair of shoes. It's saying, be prepared for the ups and downs of life. Don't let this bigger event knock you down harder than the other ones. You are, oh my God, you are so self-aware and strong, and you have all the ability in the world to create your future. But sometimes when things happen to us, it can literally suck the spirit out of us, and maybe you haven't felt that light inside of you. Like I was saying, when I need to feel a little extra drop of sunshine, citrine. This is citrine, I think, like with quartz, so like it's even more fancy. But maybe you've been resting too long. Maybe you've been keeping your voice too quiet. And it's time to speak up. Whatever happened, speak up. If you lost somebody, talk about them. If something happened to you tragically, find a way to communicate that through art or therapy, more specifically. Speak about it. If you're just wanting to create a future, speak about it. Because anytime people have pressured you and put too much on you, you have always said like, hey, too much. But maybe this event has a lot less to do with a specific person. And so, or like somebody else's actions against you is what I mean. Like 90% of life is, what is the saying? Basically, there's such a small percentage of life that we have no control over, because most of what we have control over is how we respond to a situation. So yeah, 10% of life is going to be just awful, awful things. And that 90% is how you respond to those awful things. Don't forget, you already know how to move forward and focus and dream. You have no problem taking yourself out of a bad situation. I think you're walking through hell right now. And you know what they say, when you're going through hell, keep going. Don't stop. Don't lay down and rest. Don't give up. I want to share a little story before I go. My stepsister, Erin, I love you if you're watching. Her grandfather was in the Holocaust, and he was a part of a group of people that they had marching literally through the snow naked. And he didn't think he could go on anymore. And so he laid down to die, and he was going to accept it. And he woke up the next morning to I don't know if it was the British or the Americans or whom, but he woke up the next morning rescued. And so I want you to know that if you feel like you're going through hell right now, don't give up. Because he probably just felt like he could not physically go on anymore, but I know his spirit kept him going. And because he made it, I have the amazing sister I do today. So just know that you can keep going, and I believe in you. So that's just a little personal story I wanted to share. It's something that inspires me to have that sort of comparison and just understand, like, that's not something I've ever had to experience, nor will ever. So just keep going. Life is hard, but you have the strength inside of you, I promise. So Pile 2, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for letting me share my stories and letting me channel your energy. I'm really proud of you. You know yourself. You speak up. Just continue to listen to yourself. So Pile 2, thank you so, so much. If you like this reading, I'd love for you to give it a little thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm doing my job right. And if you loved it, I would love for you to subscribe and be a part of my channel. This has been such an amazing journey, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. Hi, Pile 3. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really honored and excited to bring you this message all about your body. It communicates to us in louder ways than we even know. So if you're having aches or pains or issues somewhere, I wanted to find out what's going on and why. So for starters, you chose this absolutely beautiful blue stone. So it's just a very calming stone. I mentioned my sister Kat got it for me. She made me this like beautiful chakra stone rope thing. The rope didn't make it, all the stones did. So I use now the stones all individually, but I think I pretty much know all of the ones she gifted me. So that is that. Let's find out what's going on with the body. So I asked up front, what is the body sounding the alarm for? So up front, the Knight of Wands. Kind of talks about just impulsivity. So I'm curious if this is telling you to speed up or slow down. So I just learned the other day, because I finally looked it up. I did not know who this was for the longest time. It's Emily. And if you don't know who Emily is, her and Ross on the show Friends were going to get married. And that is the incident at their wedding when Ross said Rachel's name instead of Emily. So I'm curious if this is some sort of like your body alerting you to like maybe you're doing something too quickly. So we're gonna look at all the other cards to really understand the full question. But I asked up front, what part of the body is this message coming through? Well, well, for starters, the Emperor represents Aries. I don't know if you can see the symbol down there. So I wonder if you get like migraines a lot there, or like you get dizzy, or even like eye spots. Like, have you ever gotten floaters in your eyes from when you're really stressed? And if you don't know that's what they're from, it's from stress. So I wonder if when you are in the midst of making a decision that you are getting like dizzy, headaches, an ocular migraine, that's what the spots are called. So I'm curious, the brain right here. Because the first thing I actually heard when I saw that this was the card for where your body's telling you is because maybe you don't have any physical ailments, but what was coming in is your thoughts. Like, I have a feeling you have thoughts screaming at you sometimes of like, you're like, I'm going to go get married. And you're just like, no, don't do it. Something like that. The next question I said is, have you been listening to these messages? And the way I use the red cards is yes, and the black cards is no. So, no, you have not been listening to it. And especially, this is the Queen of Wands. Like, that's all about action. So I have a feeling that you definitely, I think you push through all these things. I feel like if you get a headache, you take ibuprofen, you take Advil, you take something, maybe something stronger, just not good, and you just move on. So you have not been noticing that these are coming at a time when it's actually trying to get you to slow down and say like, hey, pay attention. If you notice that the flowers right there and there are the same. Yeah, and so I'm definitely getting this is a mental thing. Like, yeah, you might get the headaches, but what I really see here, because the Queen of Wands also has a black cat at her feet. So every card in this deck has a black cat, but the Queen of Wands does too. So this to me is saying like you are very locked in, like you are a prisoner to your own mind. And I'm not trying to be harsh in any way. I'm trying to note what your body is alerting you to. And I don't think you were expecting this answer at all. I feel like you were maybe like curious if it's like, some people get shoulder pains, stomach pains, like, you get this sort of mental block. And I have a feeling you kind of have been like pushing through rather than slowing down and being aware the resistance is there for a reason. But don't worry, I did ask how you've already made improvements towards this. So even if you don't know that your body's alerting you to this stuff, you've already made improvements. What's nice is you don't have a problem with the truth, which is good because I'm a very truthful reader. But I'm getting the understanding that you have no problem moving forward. You have no problem with growth. And I think you've finally learned how much your subconscious plays a role in your overall life. Like, I wonder if you express your inner thoughts through art or some sort of creative way that if you were to look at your writings or what you've created, you actually might see your messages there. And so a lot of what you've been going through, I feel like you have discovered that your subconscious speaks to you. And that's exactly what I was saying here is the subconscious actually doesn't speak to you. Your subconscious is just a playback machine. It will play back to you what you play to it voluntarily throughout the day. So every night when you go to sleep, all the thoughts you had during the day literally get dumped into your subconscious and repeated the next day. So all the thoughts you have, everything you think throughout the day is actually a product of what you have voluntarily thought about. Because, there is a difference between the thoughts that just like come through our head and our active awareness, the observer. So, because there's a power in observing your thoughts and knowing that your thoughts are not you. You can have like feelings and opinions about your thoughts coming through, but the ones that tell you you're not good enough or to not listen to your intuition. And I think maybe that might be a struggle for you. You might wonder what's the difference between intuition and your thought. And so that was a really big thing that I needed to figure out. And the truth is, your intuition is your first instinct reaction. That's why it's called instinct. It's intuitive. It's connected to that part of you that is not going to lie to you. The thoughts that creep in afterwards, that's your ego. When your thoughts are trying to talk you out of something that you very instinctively, naturally wanted to do, you'll typically listen to the ego, is what I'm seeing. And your thoughts are trying to alert you to impulsivity and what you're going after, maybe who you are attracted to or like lusting after more specifically. If you do dream, pay attention to them because they're definitely sending you signs and symbols. So, but last question I asked was what you can do to help this problem or fix it. Where can you make improvements? I'm curious, what I first heard in my head when I really was looking at this card was that I wonder if you don't know the role you play in the world. Like, you might not know how your actions actually will impact other people. And I'm meaning that on like, not you hitting someone with your car. That's kind of an obvious like cause and effect. But I think you don't realize that just when you wake up every day and choose to be happy, choose to live a good life, you are actually raising the vibration of the people around you. Because one person, I don't have the actual math in front of me, but one person at peace neutralizes the energy of like 1 million people. So when one human being has found peace and balance and harmony, 1 million people on earth are affected in a way that, have you ever just felt good all of a sudden, like you're around somebody and their energy is contagious? It's like that. And when the whole of the earth is raising their vibration, we all feel it just as much as when the world is in a really bad place, we feel it. When the world is raising its vibration, we can feel that too, and actually more effectively when it's positive. You may not know that you are the light in some people's life. You may not know that when you are actually living your truth and being the amazing soul that you are, you're helping the people around you just by existing, just by following your dreams and being true to yourself. I'm wondering if you kind of, like I saw a video and I relate to it very hard that, you can spend all day on the couch just chilling, watching shows, And, you know, you go to bed that night and it's like 3 a.m. and you all of a sudden wake up and you're like, I'm ready to do some epic shit. And every night in the middle of the night, I get inspired to just do some awesome things. And then the next day comes and I know if I sit down on the couch and turn on the TV first thing in the morning, like, that's my day. 100%. So if I do that, I have to do it consciously. Like, I'm going to sit down on the couch today and do nothing. It's so important on how you start your day. Like, I just learned recently, like within the last week, that the first thing that your brain gets dopamine on of the day is the thing it'll seek for all day. So if you get on social media first thing in the morning, that's the thing your brain is like, well, don't you just want another hit? Don't you just want to check? Don't you want to see if someone gave you a comment or a like or a follow? Like, if you do that first thing in the morning, and that really has alerted me to knowing don't do that. So, same as YouTube. If I turn on YouTube, I will want to watch YouTube all day. So, and it's possible. So, this to me is saying, like, I think you have learned to express your emotions and what you're feeling and needing through creativity. I think you're starting to learn the power of your subconscious. But what I think you really could help you is actually understanding your value in the world and how all of your actions, and maybe that's what your brain has been trying to alert you to and like call your attention to, that like your actions are not just affecting you, they affect everyone around you. And that's good. That means you actually can positively affect the people around you just by you being happy. So listen to, you know, the thing with our thoughts also, even though they may not be ours, sometimes they're totally useful and good ideas. Like, I learned that ideas were not actually, they don't come from you. Like, your brain doesn't develop them. I'm sure on a scientific level, sure. But ideas are basically kind of energies that float around and drop to other people. And so if you get an idea and you don't follow through with it, that's why in a couple months you'll see somebody else create it. Because it wasn't your idea. The idea wants to be created. The idea has its own energy. And when you pick up on those ideas, you are actually listening to the universe and it's speaking to you. It's saying you're special and you're powerful and you are a creative. And I really think the universe as a whole wants you to create your art. Just think of any artist or musician that has extremely impacted your view on the world. Now just imagine that person didn't exist and never made your favorite song, your favorite movie, your favorite piece of art, your favorite restaurant. Like, literally imagine that person never did that. That takes away a whole source of happiness that you've experienced in life. Understand that you have that same power. And so, let me see. The Knight of Wands here is just saying, when you get an idea, follow through with it, but don't be too quick. So that's, to me, this is like such a clear story from beginning to end. Like, you get these ideas and they're good. They're meant to come to you, but you might not be listening to some intuitive signs you're getting about maybe who to partner up with or how soon to start it or what to do. I think you get a lot of good ideas and they might not always manifest because you might be moving too quickly. So listen to your intuition and just understand that you are an extremely talented, creative person. And I think the world really, like, this message is coming to you because I feel like your brain has been like picking up on signs and ideas. So remember the thing I said about your subconscious dumps into the thoughts you create throughout the day, and the ones you pick up and repeatedly think about get dumped into your subconscious, and your subconscious is just a playback loop. So that's why sometimes we can repeatedly think negative thoughts about ourselves. You have to work to get rid of it. Like, I have been suffering with an intrusive thought for the last week or so. And instead of allowing myself to think about that, your mind can technically only focus on one thing at a time. So when that happens, I immediately start saying, thank you for removing this negative thought. Thank you for removing this negative thought. And I just keep saying thank you, because that literally quiets the intrusive thought down. And before I know it, I'm not even thinking about it. And that has actually helped me so much. So if there's something that keeps leaking into your brain, try not to think about that. Think about, just imagine an angel coming in or somebody coming in. I see like the little Mario guy, like when you like drive off the road in Mario Kart and the boop, 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 boop. Imagine that coming in and just removing the thought. Just boop, 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 boop. So if you have a negative thought, just say out loud, thank you so much for removing this negative thought. And think that till literally you forget about it, and then start finding things you can do to replace it. Because we do have a lot more control and power over the mind than we know. I think you're learning that. This is saying this is what has helped you so much. Just really, I think, absorb how impactful you can be in this world and how amazing you are. Yeah, when you are getting ideas and inspired to move forward, just trust. If you trust your instinctual thought, ask yourself, is this what I should do? Yes or no? Yes or no? Your first answer is always the right answer. So, but that it's funny because I'm saying that, but that doesn't mean get an idea and move immediately, quickly. Isn't that funny? Like, trust your instinctual answer, the quick one, but don't take quick actions. Just know that if you come up with an idea and you're like, should I do this? Yes. Okay, cool. But if you start thinking, well, you might not really be able to do it well, you might not be good at it, like, that's what I'm talking about. Don't think about that. But if you get an idea, you're like, oh my God, I should create a whole business. Don't just get up that day and start buying things. Like, research, marketing, like, check out everything on the idea. And just know the idea came to you for a reason. Now just go slow and steady. So that could be a little difficult, but hey, if you, especially with this Aries energy here, I'm sure you get an idea and you want to just boom, go. But I'm excited for you. Your body's speaking pretty clearly to you. I'm really happy you don't have any physical ailments. The other two definitely did. But the other two also said that they're listening to it. But I can understand if you have a physical ailment, it's going to be a little bit more apparent. So your body speaks to you kind of through your thoughts, and you might not even know that it's speaking to you about the quickness in which you are moving forward in life. So I think you've really come to understand a lot more about your subconscious and the power of it and your creativity. I think it's time to just really accept that you are a part of the whole and your art matters. Just think of the most important song in your life, and if that artist never created that song, that's the impact. So pile 3, this was such a beautiful reading. I'm so honored and blessed every time you come to let me send out the energy. So thank you. If you like this reading, I would love for you to give it a little thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm doing my job right. And if you loved it, I would just love for you to subscribe. This journey of tarot has been absolutely fulfilling, and I just would love for you to be a part of it. So thank you so much for being here today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.